Okay, so I'm going to show you what we currently have. This is a cloud. This is Algolia. These are the feeds. This is the feed server, and this is the Reality Hive production server. So the way it currently works is we download the information in different formats. Sometimes, for example, Caribbean feed is JSON, Leads Hub is XML, and others are MLS directly. So we download this. We have a process here that exports this into files. So each file is something that we create out of reading this information and parsing it to the structure that we need to have uh, to be able to read this information, right? So we do this, and then we run a nightly batch on our production server. That what does is it connects to this server and reads these files, right? Each one of them, and it maps and normalizes the data so the listings that are here are allowed to get into the database, right? Because this is a relational database. It requires each listing, for example, it requires to have a certain structure. Some fields can't be empty, etc. These are the restrictions that we have in order uh, to have the listings put into the database. So each night we run this process. The process reads each one of these files, and it normalize the data here. This is a process that runs inside, and it puts the listing here. Also, it checks if the listing already exists. If it does, it updates instead of inserts, right? This is the way it works. The problem is that uh, if we make too many exceptions on the process, on this process and this process, because for example, let's give you a practical example: Exit, right? Or Caribbean or Exit, both of them, they both are different in the part. They are both different because they need to have exceptions in order to get into the database, because some of them uh, don't have certain data that need to have in order to belong to this structure, right? So the problem with having, for example, Exit, then we need to add more rules to this process, particular rules only for these feeds, and it gets this process of generating the files more and more complicated to maintain. It's custom code. It gets eventually gets to a spaghetti code where you are instead of following one general rule, um, you have exceptions everywhere, right? So what I'm doing right now, where we should move forward. There are um, many different solutions. Oh, I was forgetting. After this process that imports this data and updates or inserts the data that is being read from these files, another process runs that synchronize the data that we have in Algolia, which is the data that we use for searching, right? This Algolia is basically a shorter, faster version of the only needed data that we need in order to have quick access to search. Um, so that's it. So let me show you what I think, what I'm doing right now. Um, just a second. Um, Instead of having this, we still have that, right? But I'm implementing a database here. So what I'm doing right now is, instead of running a process for each one of these feeds that runs, uh, we we are just storing everything into a database. So later we can run a process to turn the data on the database into something that is compatible with this data. So what I'm trying to do, what I'm thinking in doing, and you can confirm me if you think this is right, uh, is I don't know why. Oh, okay, okay, okay. There you go. So instead of exporting on each and doing the process of mapping of each file, we just import everything, every single data that all these listings are offering. We put it into the database of the feed server, and then we can run a process to normalize this data into a different format that is compatible with this, right? So then we can synchronize these databases, right? So we will have a process of importing and then a process that turns the data that is raw data into something that is compatible with this, and we synchronize the data. Um, Also, we could have something to synchronize with Algolia, or we can just delegate that to keep doing that here. That depends exactly on what we need. You mentioned that you need a CRM, right? So the CRM will be actually it won't be here. It will be the same server. We will keep the CRM into the same server, so the CRM will read the data normalize in order for you to edit and mark and flag whatever you need to do as a customer management system, um, and then keep this synchronized uh, with Realty Hive. We can have an API layer here in order to communicate better without the need to import or doing those heavy loads that implicates reading and adapting the data every time we run a nightly batch. So basically, the proposal that you sent, which is, let me show you, it's this one, right? Let me move this a little bit here. This looks great, looks good. I was thinking instead of having the CRM interacting with the raw database to interact with the database that is in sync with this, which is it will make our job easier because we will be dealing with the same structures. But anyways, this might change just a little bit, um, but the general idea is correct. Um, So let me know what you think. I am doing some research and some reading uh, in order to be sure what steps to take. Uh, I was considering, based on reading that that book, in splitting the database. We also have uh, an issue of this server being too overloaded because of the file, because this is the database. This is not the same as the file system. Inside here there is the file system where we store all the images. Probably splitting this into three servers and having a database server, having an application server, and having a file server could be a good idea, but uh, that will require me to test a lot and to try to take what we have and split it into different instances and then having all separated. Um, we can probably think about taking that approach. This is proven to improve all the workload, improve the speed, improve the efficiency of the server. So whenever the database server will only be in charge of providing the data, and that data could be accessed from the feed server, uh, and could all the systems could use the same data server instead of having to sync synchronize and having to synchronize here, for example, right? So it will be a next step looking forward. But for now, I am concentrating on getting this done and this done, and we'll see where we go from there. Let me know what are your thoughts, and probably uh, you don't understand much about this, but this is the basic structure of what we have, and im- just by doing this, we will improve a lot of the process that we currently have. So I will let you know how this moves on. Okay, and let me know if you have suggestions or if you have any question regarding the process. You're welcome to ask any question. Okay, that's it. Have a great weekend, Amanda. Bye.